Hi guys, Emily Sweet here. This is my third flip through of this journal, and this is where we left off here. Now, my phone doesn't seem to like to record, so I am going to try to record with my laptop and see if that makes a difference. So, hopefully you've watched up to here. If not, feel free to go back or just continue. So I've actually done this flip through a couple times. My phone can't handle the files, so I guess that becomes a problem when our phone's software and hardware capacity is not enough to handle the capacity of the resolution. So I think that's kind of what happened, because it's gigs and gigs of video for only 15 minutes. But anyway, I'm really like to do this, so it's not a big deal. But this page is about freshly steeped flowers. So if you're having tea, or I actually love tea, so it's not a criticism on tea, but you're actually drinking dead flowers. So I drew, obviously flowers don't have bones, but I drew them as if they were people with faces and bones and a spine and all sorts of things, just kind of like dead flowers in your hot water. So that was kind of a weird thought. This is what a Lyft driver said about me. Oh, we have these fruit flies. I might be trying to hit them while we're recording. A Lyft driver told me that I speak calmly, which was a huge thing for me because I actually have been on anti-anxiety medication for a large portion of my life, and I got off them a couple years ago, and as soon as the withdrawals ended, people started saying, like, on a monthly basis, I hear it now for the past couple years, that I sound calm or I seem like I'd never get angry. And it was kind of funny because all those years of being on anxiety medication, I've never heard myself described as calm in any way. So I'm really, really grateful that I was able to get off them and that people notice, because that can help too. So I had an art show at the Super Wonder Gallery. So some people were dressed really strangely. One girl was dressed like this. I like creative fashion. I used to draw face paint on my face in college, and looking back, I was thinking, what the heck was I doing? But it was kind of fun. So what can you do, right? Um, so this is it's either the mandala or the Mandela effect. And I had actually drawn a mandala, but then I realized I think it's actually the Mandela effect. So it's a theory, not philosophy. I'm in philosophy, it's not about philosophy. It's a quantum physics theory about parallel universes. So basically, it's the idea that because people remember events differently, for all those recollections of the events to be true, they all must have happened. So there's actually a website that had all these events that like people remember differently. So one of the ones I remember, because I like Pokemon, is that some people remembered Pikachu having a black tip to to his tail. Some people remembered him having no tip, which is what I remembered. But it's such a large amount of people that remember all these things differently that it means that, at least according to the Mandela effect, that all these things happened in some sort of parallel universe, which they're trying to kind of prove now with quantum physics, quantum mechanics. It's really interesting. I'm really interested in this stuff. You could look up the double slit experiment. Schrodinger's cat is also really interesting. But if you want to do some research, a God particle, which I think is the Higgs boson particle. I always get the name wrong. Anyway, so this actually reminded me of something we were learning at class at the time. It was about, I think it was one of the Apollo crafts that crashed. They took people's memories that day or the day after, and they had them write out like a paragraph of where they were and how they heard about it. Like, oh, I heard it on my boyfriend's TV. I saw the crash. And then 4 years later, I believe, they actually had them write out a paragraph describing the same thing, and the paragraphs were completely different. So maybe the Mandela effect is just because we have bad memories, which is partly why I journal, because people's memory seems to change over time. Okay, so this is a tribute to my reality TV binge. So a couple times a year, I go on reality TV binges, and I don't really know why. I just like doing that a couple times a year. Just for like a week, I'll watch like trash shows. So Flavor of Love was what I was watching at this time, and it just kind of gives me a break from reality, I guess. And it was actually really funny. It's like The Bachelor, like a ghetto bachelor. And this guy Flavor Flav from Public Enemy actually was the bachelor, and it's just so funny. I recommend that show. Better than Toddlers and Tiaras, I'll tell you that much. I actually sent him a photocopy of this, so let's see if he writes back. So I actually took an art class through that Work of an Arts program I talked about at the end of the last flip. So this was kind of like a structure of this activism art class I was taking. And this is some stuff here about I'm in the philosophy undergraduate program at York University. I want to be a teacher, so I'm also taking other subjects like English and social science and stuff, so I can have multiple teachables. And so that's been fun. And these are the different branches of philosophy. I just love philosophy. I could just be in school forever in this philosophy program. I could teach the class. I would love that. Just love philosophy. It's fascinating. And actually, yesterday my prof was telling us that his thesis prof had actually gotten into philosophy. He was an engineering student, and he went for a walk down a street, saw a, a paper or a book open to the page of Animander, I don't know how to say his name, but he was a pre-Socratic philosopher, and actually maybe yeah, I think he was, and or around that period, maybe a little bit after. Yeah, he was one of the first. So anyway, he saw a page open to his writing, and the guy walked by the bookstore, kind of read it, kept walking, and then stopped in his tracks, went back, read the page again, went inside, bought the book, and literally quit his program and went and became a philosophy professor. So, I mean, that's really cool. I love that story. But he was a really interesting philosopher as well. So the pre-Socratics are more into natural philosophy, so kind of understanding the world around them and how the world worked, because they were transitioning from like Greek mythology and the fact that gods controlled everything. And like Greek gods, like Zeus would throw a lightning bolt, so they'd have lightning, and that was the cause of lightning, is the god throwing it. But then when they started transitioning away from it, they're like, okay, well, what does cause lightning if it's not Zeus? So that philosopher was one of the first to start looking at that kind of stuff. Hopefully I'm not boring you too much here. So this is Joyce Meyer. She's a preacher, and I used to listen to her a lot more, not as much now. But she has some interesting points about kind of how mental health affects religion and the Bible, and how the Bible kind of views negative thinking and stuff. She has some really good stuff on that. And some of the things I like that she said are people find things wrong with me because they don't like themselves. Another one, hurting people hurt others. And then criticisms, are they right? Ask God. If they're right, God, show me. Am I like that? If so, help me. I can rest knowing that you'll change me in your time if I'm meant to be changed. If I don't need to be changed and those people aren't correct, please help them, Lord. So that was kind of a prayer I came up with based on what I had heard. You can always pause it and read things as well. So this was packing for British Columbia. So I actually went skiing in Whistler, and it was my first year really getting intensively back into skiing. And the guy that I got there, the instructor, was such a creep. Well, first of all, he put me in such an advanced class. They assessed you, and I mean, I've been doing pretty well in skiing. I've been doing racing and jumping and stuff because I took it as a kid. So it's my first year doing it as an adult. But I was put in the level just underneath instructor training. And we were doing like these giant jumps and like this crazy powder ungroomed snow. And we even did tree skiing, which was terrifying for me. Like, I'm like, this is not my level. And then the guy kept telling me to cheat on my boyfriend and stuff, and I was so uncomfortable. It was just like he was this creepy guy, and I did not enjoy that. But I just love Whistler. Other than the instructor, it was so beautiful, and it definitely was a challenge in comparison to our hills here in Ontario, because they actually are mountains. We got to ski above the clouds. It was so much fun. So these are some things that I'm thankful for. So some examples um, is that I have a really great pet insurance, so I get Hobie's medication for free, that I get free health care in Canada, and a whole bunch of other things. Oh, and that my driver's license. Well, it says here I wanted it so badly, but the other thing about it is I actually wore a flower crown when I got the picture taken, and I guess you're not supposed to, but they put it through anyway, and I think it's so cute, and I feel kind of cool having a driver's license with a flower crown because I don't think they're gonna allow that again. And it's really fun to have my first driver's license be that fun. And this was a blurb talking about how my anxiety has changed, and one of the things that I've noticed is that it takes me a lot less time to calm down. So in the past, sometimes it would take me a full day to calm down from a panic attack or like obsessive thinking. And this day, I went for a 2 kilometer run in the middle of the night, and it just helped me calm down and sleep. So sometimes I'll do that. It started when I was in college. We had a gym downstairs in res, and I would just go downstairs and work out at like 2 in the morning for 15 and 20 minutes, like run as fast as I could on the treadmill or whatever, and it just made me really tired, so that helped me. This is when I got in my first car accident. So I actually was thinking the day before, I was really nervous because I thought I was going to get in a car accident, and it was a really weird feeling. And then the next day, this girl rammed into my aunt and uncle's car in Whistler, and she was actually on her way to deliver pizza to a police station, and I felt really bad for her. The poor lady was so anxious, I could really tell, and my aunt and uncle are very logical, and they're not anxious people at all, so they weren't very reassuring. They're like, oh, we're gonna go check to see if there's internal damage. There's no obvious damage. Like, they're just really careful. They weren't trying to be mean, but I could just, as a fellow anxious person, I could see the wheels turning in her head. And she actually called us in like the middle of the night because she was really anxious about it, and I just felt bad. But it all worked out. Nothing was wrong. And then the next day, actually, we were in the parking garage, and I thought, oh, we're going to get in another accident. And I thought, that's crazy. And I never think like that unless we're getting in an accident, because as soon as I thought that, my uncle backed up into a concrete thing, and we hit with our car. So I'm thinking, oh my, is there such thing as being psychic? Which is, I mean, I don't know about that, but it was bizarre for sure. And then this was my aunt saying I was a good skier, and I was really proud because I really look up to her and her skiing ability. And my ex James said on landing a jump while Olympic skiing, sticking the landing is the difference between gold and paralyzation. He was kind of not so into positive thinking, but you know what? Not everyone is. So this is the amount of vertical feet that I skied that day, 12,309.